The story takes place in Shanghai, one of the most developed cities in China, located at the mouth of the Yangtze River, with a population over 24 million. For over a century, Shanghai has been China's financial center, attracting people from all over the country. In an old residential area in Guangzhong Road lives a couple who just got married. The husband, Zhu Xiaodong, is a 29-year-old salesman, while his wife, Yang Liping, is a primary school Chinese teacher. They are like modern-day Romeo and Juliet. However, is this really what it looks like? On February 1st, 2017, it was Yang Ganlian's 60th birthday, and he was celebrating it with family and friends. But his daughter Yang Liping and his son-in-law Zhu Xiaodong didn't show up as they were supposed to. Nobody could find them. He hadn't seen his daughter for 6 months, and they only talked on WeChat sometimes. This is so strange because it never happened before. During these 6 months, every time he called her daughter, it went straight to voicemail. Sometimes, even if it was picked up, nobody answered on the phone. Yang said her phone was broken. She couldn't hear any sound or speak through it. When her dad texted her out for dinner, she refused in WeChat that she was too busy and couldn't come back. A few days ago, Yang sent her mother a text message saying, "Mom, my friends and I are going to Hong Kong for Chinese New Year. We'll be back on the day after Spring Festival. Keep in touch." However, it's already the 5th day after the day she promised, and Yang's parents still can't get in touch with their daughter. They're getting worried because even if she's busy, she should come back on such an important day. They haven't seen their daughter in months, and Yang's father has a bad feeling about it. Around 5 o'clock in the evening, Yang's dad received a call from his in-laws. Zhu's mom told him, "Yang's in trouble now. We're at the police station. You should come over." After hearing this, Yang's parents immediately headed to the police station, and Yang's dad tried to reassure his wife along the way. When they got to the station, they were informed that their daughter had been murdered. Yang Liping was born in November 1987, 29 years old. She's from Shanghai and is the only child in her family, so she's always been the family's precious gem. Her father used to be a soldier and later became a police officer and about to retire soon. She's known for her gentle personality and never raises her voice or argues with anyone. Even if she's wronged, she just hides away and cries silently. After graduating from high school, Yang entered Shanghai Normal University majoring in Chinese. She was the quietest and gentlest person in her dorm. During her time in university, she only got angry once. Her classmates forgot to inform her about the time for a computer exam, causing her to miss the test and have to take a makeup exam. But by the next day, Yang Liping had already restored her mood. After graduating from university, she became a Chinese teacher at a prestigious school in Shanghai, and it wasn't easy for her to get a teaching job there. In 2012, Yang met Zhu through a mutual friend. They were at the same age and hit it off soon. Yang was deeply attracted to his handsome looks. The following year they started dating and be together, but Yang's parents didn't know their relationship. After almost a year of dating, something unexpected happened. Zhu disappeared without a trace, leaving Yang worried about his whereabouts. Almost a year after his leaving, he finally reappeared. He told Yang that he had left because he had been diagnosed with a brain tumor. After treatment failed, he left Shanghai and went to live a wild life in Tibet. Over time, his headaches gradually subsided, and when he went back to the hospital, the tumor had miraculously disappeared. That's why he decided to return to Shanghai. Yang totally bought the story and felt bad for what her boyfriend had been through. When she told her friends about it, she spoke with great admiration and respect. They keep their relationship secretly until one time Yang post-related messages and images on social media when they attended a wedding of their friends. The family finally found out for the first time that Yang was dating a boyfriend, and the relationship had lasted for some time. It appears that Yang's family holds reservations towards Zhu. Yang's parents only met him for the first time when their daughter discussed marriage with them. Although Zhu has dined with Yang's family several times, he hardly engaged in any family conversation. During a family gathering, Zhu made a statement in front of Yang's relatives, "I really love Yang. No one can criticize her, including her parents, only I can." Seems Zhu is not really sensitive. This made the family members feel uncomfortable, particularly Yang's parents. Yang's grandmother also expressed her idea that Zhu is not trustworthy. At last, her parents still decided to respect their daughter's decision and wouldn't interfere. On the last day of 2015, they registered their marriage at the Department of Home Affairs, and they held a small wedding in May of the following year at a hotel in Shanghai. Zhu had a unique hobby of keeping cold-blooded animals, such as lizards, snakes, and spiders, which he displayed on the balcony of their one-room flat. At first, Yang was not fond of these animals, but she eventually grew to tolerate them and even helped take care of them. Despite Yang's parents did express their concerns about Zhu's hobby, suggested that Yang should sell those animals. Yang refused because she knew her husband wouldn't agree. The last time Yang's father saw her was during a family dinner hosted by their daughter and son-in-law. After that dinner, Yang and Zhu once went to visit Yang's parents, but her father was not at home. Yang's mother wanted them to stay and have a dinner, but Yang politely declined, saying they could eat together next time. This was the last time Yang's mother saw her. On November 7, 2016, Yang's mother received a WeChat message from her daughter, which said, "Mom, for my birthday I plan to go on a trip with Dong, and we'll invite you when we come back at his birthday." Dong is the last character in Zhu Xiaodong's name. Yang's mother found it a bit weird because she had never heard her daughter refer to her husband as Dong before. However, she assumed that the couple had simply changed their way of calling each other and didn't think too much of it. Yang's 37th birthday was on November 22nd, followed by her husband Zhu Xiaodong's 37th birthday on November 28th. Yang's parents planned to host a birthday banquet for their daughter at a restaurant, but for some reason, Yang Liping declined the invitation. Her mother didn't get upset about it and thought that the young couple just wanted to have some fun together. When she asked where they planned to go on their trip, Yang Liping said they wanted to go to Hokkaido in Japan or Jeju Island in South Korea. The next day, Yang's mother sent another WeChat message to her daughter, expressing her desire to talk to her and asking her to call after class. However, Yang Liping did not reply to the message or call her mother. 2 weeks later, the cat that had been living with the family for over 10 years suddenly passed away, which was Yang Liping's favorite pet. Yang's mother informed her daughter through WeChat, but Yang Liping only responded with crying emojis and said she couldn't come back as she was out of town. After that, the mother tried to call her daughter several times but either received a busy tone or was hung up. It makes Yang's mother really angry. She sent a WeChat message asking why her daughter wasn't answering her phone, but Yang Liping gave a bunch of excuses to brush her off. A few days before Christmas, Yang's parents went to Yang's cousin's place twice with sweaters they had knitted for their daughter and son-in-law. Yang's cousin lived in the same neighborhood, but when Yang's parents arrived, no one answered the door. They went twice to their place, but Yang told them they were out of town through WeChat. Once, the daughter said she would come back from Wuxi in the afternoon, but Yang's parents waited until evening and did not see her. Yang Liping also said that Zhu had oral ulcers and was transfused in a Wuxi hospital, so she was taking care of him and could not come back. On the eve of the Lunar New Year, Yang Liping sent a WeChat message to her mother, saying that he would go to Hong Kong for the New Year and then come back to pay a New Year's visit on the second day of the first lunar month. Her mother joked that she was an ungrateful daughter who didn't contact her family for so long. When that day comes, her parents waited at home for a whole day and they didn't appear, while their daughter claimed on WeChat that the plane was delayed and could not come back. His mother also complained with her daughter's repeated broken promises on WeChat. By February 1st, 2017, it was the 5th day of the first lunar month and Yang's 60th birthday. Zhu Xiaodong's mother planned to attend the banquet at 3 p.m. However, at 1 p.m., Zhu's mother suddenly received a message from her son, saying that something had happened and asked her to get to his home quickly. Zhu's mother felt a little worried and called her son, but the phone was turned off. Zhu's mother soon called her ex-husband, who is Zhu Xiaodong's biological father, asked him to go to his son's flat first to see what was going on. When Zhu's mother arrived at Zhu's place, she was shocked to hear that her daughter-in-law was strangled to death by her son. Zhu's mother asked her son why he did this, but Zhu Xiaodong did not answer. He kept repeating, "Did I want to? Did I want to? Did I want to?" Zhu's mother then asked where Yang Liping is now. Zhu Xiaodong pointed to the balcony and said, "In the freezer." Upon hearing the news, Zhu's mother was dumbfounded. It doesn't take long for her to calm down, and she persuaded her son to turn himself in to the police. Then, Zhu's father and mother took their son to the police station to surrender. When his wife's parents arrived at the police station, they learned of the bad news of their daughter's death. The police told them that Yang had been killed 3 months ago, and the person who contacted them via WeChat was not Yang, but their son-in-law. The murderer was no one other than Zhu. The The suspect, Zhu Xiaodong, was born in November 1987 and was 30 years old this year, came from a modest background. His parents had a bad relationship and always quarreled during his childhood. Then they got divorced when he was 10 years old. His father moved out of the flat and started a new family with someone else, while his mother raised her 10-year-old son alone. Later, Zhu's aunt and grandmother died in a car accident. His mother also had to take the responsibility of taking care of her sister's daughter and split half of her motherly love. Zhu didn't have much parental guidance. As a result, he got addicted to video games and let his grades slip. In his high school time, he even participated in a robbery on Nanjing Road and got arrested by the police. It was lucky that he wasn't an adult, so they just gave him a talk and let him go. After high school, Zhu went to a vocational school, but he didn't really apply himself and didn't learn any practical skills. He bounced around from job to job, never stayed long. Despite his bad working skills, he had one supreme advantage. He was good-looking. His mom would brag about how handsome he was, and he is always careful of his appearance, like his hair and clothes. People could smell his cologne from a mile away. The neighbors also have a good impression on him and believe that he was a well-mannered guy, because he always speaks politely in a soft tone. According to one of Zhu's high school mates, he wasn't exactly a heartthrob back then. He was weighing around 170 pounds and didn't have many friends. He even blushed when he saw girls. After he graduated, Zhu decided to lose weight. He was often jogging around the block over and over again. When he had lost 50 pounds, he started to receive the praises that how good-looking he was. From then on, Zhu's ego got inflated, and he became a bit of a self-obsessed. In 2007, when Zhu had just turned 20, he was sick of being average, so he participated in a singing competition show on Shanghai Oriental TV. That show was like a ticket to fame for a bunch of famous Chinese pop stars. With his attractive face and brooding stare, some of his fans called him a prince. But the truth was, he didn't have much talent beyond his looks. His singing and dancing skills were pretty weak, and he got eliminated from the competition at the end. Zhu seemed to love being in the spotlight. He enjoyed posting selfies online, asking people to vote for him and replying to comments from fans. After he got kicked off from the singing show, he had to face reality and went back to working as a salesperson at a department store. He would often quit after a few months and move on to another one. Eventually, he got a job in a foreign-owned department store, making around 3-4K RMB a month. Zhu wasn't satisfied with a mediocre life. He may not have made much money, but he liked to live it up, dressing nicely, going to nightclubs, and spending money recklessly. Because of his good looks, he caught the eye of many women. He realized that this might be the shortcut to success. So he started hanging out in nightclubs more often, borrowing money or maxing out his credit cards to buy expensive clothes and jewelry to look like a rich guy. He even targeted some rich girls and hung out with them to get money. He also had multiple girlfriends at the same time, using love as an excuse. However, his high spending habits left him a significant amount of debt. In 2012, when Zhu was 25, he met the girl named Yang Liping, who was the same age as him and had a birthday just a week apart from his own. He thought she was really attractive, with her big, beautiful eyes. He also noticed that she was kind of naive and easy to manipulate. At first, Zhu didn't make a move on Yang, he just kept things ambiguous between them. Meanwhile, he was already dating a wealthy girl and had even gotten a tattoo on the inside of his arm that said, "Red in a Endless Love, January 17, 2012. Red was Zhu Xiaodong's English name, and A stood for the X. January 17, 2012 was the day he met A. Over a year after they met, in October 2013, Zhu was still with girl A, but he had also started a relationship with Yang. He would bring A to hang out with his friends sometimes, and other times he would bring Yang. Zhu successfully cheat these girls without letting either of them know. When Zhu was dating Yang, he was still in debt and would sometimes mention to her how difficult his financial situation was. But Yang was so in love with him that she gave him her savings to help him pay off some of his debts. She was convinced that he was the one she was going to marry. She even brought him home to meet her parents that year, but they didn't like him. They thought he was a smooth talker and couldn't be trusted, so they were totally against their daughter's relationship with him. But Yang was deeply in love with Zhu and ignored her parents' advice. She just wanted to be with him at any cost. On December 31, 2015, the last day of the year, the couple officially registered their marriage. After they got married, Yang moved into Ju's place. In the eyes of their neighbors and friends, they seemed to be a loving couple. But what they cannot see is that the argument between them is quite regular. According to Ju, Yang would often quarrel with him over small things, like if she didn't like the food he cooked, or if she didn't like the things he bought. Yang had also told her friends that Ju was a bit stingy and didn't like her hanging out with them too much. Ju was very strict with Yang, not allowing her to go out alone or to have any contact with other men. They had several arguments over this. At one point, Ju even deleted WeChat app from Yang's phone. They had similar issues before they got married, like one post of Yang Liping on Weibo says, "He deleted my WeChat a few days ago. If you need me, just text or call. How many people are still alive on Weibo? Women are always okay, but men have the risk of being deleted within 48 hours. Friends on Weibo is going to be deleted as well now. This is not a drill. This is a war without gunpowder." It's clear from her words that Ju was overly harsh on his wife while not, was very disciplined himself. Just 6 months after their marriage, Yang caught Ju flirting with other women, and even went on secret dates with them, pretending to be single. When Yang found out, they had a huge fight. Ju promised to change his ways and even knelt down to beg for her forgiveness. He wrote a pledge on a cardboard, promising that he would only be with her, won't message or contact anyone else, let her check his phone every day. He signed it with his name, and even added a line in the bottom left corner that read, "If I cheat again, let's die together by burning charcoal at home." Ju explained that he added this line because Yang had threatened to kill herself when she found out about his cheating. As it turned out, the promise didn't work, and Ju Xiaodong kept messing around with other women. Besides, money was also a big issue between them. They lived in Ju's old family home, but Yang Liping wanted to renovate it, but Ju Xiaodong couldn't afford it, and asked Yang Liping to pay for it herself. After all the fightings and arguments, Ju Xiaodong was both mentally and physically exhausted. He didn't have much affection for Yang Liping from beginning, and only married her for money. Now that Yang Liping was unwilling to spend money on him and was constantly restricting him, Ju Xiaodong began to consider divorce. Just 2 months after writing the promise, the couple had another argument. After the argument, they decided to divorce. But when they were about to sign the paper, Yang Liping threatened to kill herself if they separate. So they left the office without completing the paperwork. Yang didn't want to end the marriage. She believed that Ju was a kind person who occasionally made mistakes and could change. What Yang didn't know was that after their divorce dispute, the idea of killing her emerged in Ju's mind. The day after their unsuccessful divorce attempt, Ju Xiaodong purchased 2 books online, Dissecting Death and Death, which contained descriptions of choking people to death and hiding corpses in freezer. Later, Ju bought a 202-liter freezer and placed it on the balcony. In order to make room for the freezer, he sold the 2 pet pythons they had. Ju also bought a camera that pointed at the freezer. Whenever someone got close, his phone would receive a notification. The shopping mall that Ju worked for was losing money and getting ready to leave the Chinese market. Rather than waiting to be laid off, he decided to quit. He lied to Yang, telling her that he had a promotion at work and was going to be sent to Hong Kong for training where he would make 20,000 yuan a month. Ju wanted Yang to quit her job and go to Hong Kong with him. Although Yang was hesitant at first, Ju convinced her with his sweet talk and lies, and she eventually agreed. That afternoon, Yang went to the principal's office with Ju to submit her resignation. The sudden move has taken the school by surprise, as there were no indications of her departure beforehand. That morning, Yang was still teaching her students diligently. That afternoon, Yang went to the principal's office with Ju to submit her resignation. The sudden move has taken the school by surprise, as there were no indications of her departure beforehand. That morning, Yang was still teaching her students diligently. According to Ju, he was about to work in Hong Kong, and his wife would go with him to live there. Despite the principal's effort to persuade Yang to stay, she remained silent and did not show any reluctance during the conversation. The school principal was left with a profound impression of Ju after their meeting. Later, the principal had a private conversation with Yang, strongly advising her to consult with her parents. Furthermore, the principal reassured her she could come back at any time if she changed her mind. But Yang did not tell her parents about her decision. 5 days later, she published an update about resignation on her WeChat Moments, blocking her family from seeing it. The post said that her husband had been treating her extremely well, which made her quite nervous. After a delightful meal, her husband even asked her if she wanted to buy some new clothing. Yang shared 5 pictures of food. In the next few days, Yang told the principal that her parents had agreed to her quitting, but it wasn't true because her parents didn't know anything about it. On October 14th, she finished all the handover stuff and officially left the school. She went back to her parents' place that day, but she didn't say anything about quitting. The day after Yang quit her job, Ju took her to Hangzhou for a trip, but they got into a fight there. Ju said they argued because he couldn't find a hotel that Yang was satisfied with. So, they cut their trip short and decided to return to Shanghai the next day. On their way back, they only got regular train tickets instead of high-speed rail tickets, which caused another fight. When they got home, Ju tried to calm his wife down, but it didn't work. It was Monday morning, October 17th, 2016. At 10 o'clock when Ju woke up, his wife Yang's non-stop chatter extremely annoyed him, and he couldn't take it anymore, so he used his hands to strangle Yang until she stopped breathing. Ju then wrapped Yang's body in a bedsheet and put her in a freezer. After that, he cleaned up the place and transferred all of the 45,000 yuan in Yang's Alipay account to his own. He also spent over 100,000 yuan using Yang's credit card, applied for several small loans in her name, and got more than 500,000 yuan in total. Ju checked into hotels multiple times with different women using Yang's ID card and spent all the money on traveling and shopping. To make it seem like his wife was still alive, Ju used Yang Liping's WeChat to send messages to friends and kept updating her WeChat moments. Whenever someone called or sent a voice message, Ju would pretend to be Yang and claim that the phone was broken and they could only communicate via text messages. On the night before he turned himself in, Ju played games on phone all night long, from 10 p.m. to 4 a.m. the next morning. During that time, he briefly left the house to throw his wife's phone and ID card into the river, then returned to continue playing games. Late at night, he tried to hang himself using the clothesline on the balcony, but it broke, as he said, and he had to give up and wait for morning. It was his father-in-law's 60th birthday that day, and he knew he couldn't keep hiding the truth. After struggling with his mind for a long time, he finally told his parents what had happened, and then turned himself into the police station in their company. When Yang's parents were told that their beloved daughter has been murdered, they were devastated and felt intense anger towards their son-in-law for what he had done. They refused to accept apologies or compensation from Ju's family and only wanted him to be punished by the law. Ju's mother was also very sad when she found out that her son was the murderer, but she thought it was an accident, not something planned. According to Ju, his son was a well-behaved child who was shy and timid. Ju's mother couldn't believe that her son could do such a thing. Ju told the lawyer that he accidentally strangled Yang. When the lawyer asked why Ju didn't try to save Yang, he said that he thought about calling for help, but got scared and didn't know what to do when he saw that Yang wasn't moving. So he watched her for 3 hours until he accepted the truth that she was dead. A year later, the Second Intermediate People's Court in Shanghai held a trial for Ju. During the trial, he narrated his relationship with the victim and the course of events of killing her and hiding her body. He only admitted to hiding her body and refused to acknowledge killing her on purpose. Zhu Xiaodong said he bought the fridge to freeze mice for his snakes and lizards at home, and he explained the 2 books he bought were chosen by Yang, not him. Zhu got so mad at his wife for nagging him, so he strangled her neck, not realizing it would kill her. His lawyer argued that it was a crime of passion due to family conflicts, and it posed a little threat to society. The court should consider his surrender and give him a lighter punishment. However, the prosecution does not agree with this point of view. Upon investigation, it was found that the delivery address for the 2 books purchased by Ju was not his home in Hongkou District, but rather his father's house. Additionally, the way Ju committed the crime was very similar to what was described in the books he bought, but his true motive was solely based on his own testimony and cannot be proven as a fact. If all the thing happens accidentally, as he described, he would not have been able to handle everything so calmly after the crime, indicating that this was a premeditated crime. Furthermore, he decided to confess on his father-in-law's birthday because he knew he could not conceal the truth any longer. If he could, he would have kept it a secret. Therefore, the prosecutor believes that the court should show no mercy on what he had done. At last, the court convicted Ju of intentionally strangling her wife to death. Although it happened due to family conflicts, and he had a confession, but his behavior after the murder was malicious and unforgivable. So the court sentenced him with death penalty. After the trials, Zhu appealed to the Supreme People's Court. Yang's dad posted an update on social media saying, "Justice arrived." Later, the family visited Yang's grave and presented the court's verdict to console her soul. A year later, the Shanghai Supreme People's Court rejected the appeal and insisted on the original verdict. It is noted that in the same day that he killed her wife, he also booked an airplane ticket to Seoul, Korea, and hanging out with a couple of friends in nightclub until the next day morning. In June 2020, Zhu was executed, bringing an end to his evil life, after 1,300 days since he turned himself in. Yang was undoubtedly unfortunate to have such a husband, and her parents lost their only daughter. However, it is somewhat heartwarming that Yang's parents have received a bunch of support and concern from social media. Everyone hopes that Yang's parents can let go of their pain and live on with strength and happiness.